Hello again, dear listeners, and thanks for tuning into Master English with Tim, the podcast where Tim helps you learn English in depth and detail, and without ever hurrying. I'm Tim, native speaker of English from the United States, English teacher for over 20 years, polyglot, world traveler, cyclist, drinker of decaffeinated coffee, and author of several resources for learning English, including this podcast, now in its 94th episode. This week, you will learn about direct objects and indirect objects, a very important topic from English grammar. Knowing what direct and indirect objects are will help you to construct sentences in English more easily and more correctly. Direct and indirect objects are kind of a large topic, just a bit too much to put into a single episode. I've been saying at the beginning of each episode for quite a while now that I never hurry, and so instead of trying to explain everything to you this week in a single episode, instead of doing that, I will explain to you the most important stuff that you need to know if you're a B1 or B2 learner, and then I will come back with the remaining details in a future episode. Okay, so let's get started with the basics that we'll deal with in this first episode. Let's start with direct objects. A direct object is a person, place, or thing that receives an action directly. To find a direct object, you just need to ask who or what. For example, your verb might be like. Who or what do you like? Maybe you like me, which means the word me is the direct object of the verb like. Or maybe you like Beyonce, in which case the name Beyonce is the direct object of like. How about the verb drive? What do you drive? You drive a car. So car is a direct object here. Or maybe you drive a truck, which means that the word truck is a direct object in that sentence. Okay, let's do one more verb. This time the verb is write. What do you write? You write a book, or an article, or a message. So book, article, or message could each be a direct object of the verb write. So again, all you need to do is ask who or what in connection with the verb in the sentence. Now, I will give you 5 examples of sentences with direct objects, and it will be your job to do 2 things for each sentence. First, you need to say what the action in the sentence is. Then you need to say who or what the direct object is. I will make a short pause after each sentence so you can think and find the action and its direct object. Sentence number 1. Yes, we know her. So the action is know. So who do we know? We know her. So her, the word her, is the direct object. Sentence number 2. I manage a small company. The action is manage. What do I manage? I manage a company. So company is the direct object here. Sentence number 3. Julien speaks French and English. So the action is speak. What does Julien speak? Julien speaks French and English. So we have 2 direct objects. The first direct object is French, and the second direct object is English. 4. We see Julien every day. The action is see. Who do we see? We see Julien. So Julien is the direct object here. 5th sentence and last one. My mom baked cookies for us. The action is bake. What did my mom bake? My mom baked cookies. And so cookies is the direct object. Okay, now let's move on to indirect objects. Let me first give you another sentence with just a direct object. We'll add later an indirect one to the same sentence. So here's the sentence without an indirect object, just a direct one. Here it is. She gives gifts. So the action is give. What does she give? She gives gifts. So the word gifts is the direct object. Now, an indirect object, an indirect one, is a person or place or thing that receives not the action, but instead receives the direct object. To find an indirect object, just ask who receives the direct object. So let's take our sentence from before and add an indirect object to the end. Here's our new sentence. She gives gifts to her friends. So, which word in this sentence names the people, a person or people who receive the gifts? That word is friends. So, friends is the indirect object. Let's do another example sentence. Ready? Here it is. She gives her friends gifts. So again, we have the same situation. Gives is the action, gifts is the direct object, and friends is the indirect object. So now I'm going to read 5 sentences that have both direct objects and indirect objects in them. So each sentence has a direct and an indirect object. And for each sentence, you will need to do 3 things. First, you need to find the action. Second, you need to find the direct object. And third, you need to find the indirect object. After each sentence, there will be a pause to give you some time to think. 1. He gave the book to me. Action. Gave. What did he give? He gave the book. So the word book is the direct object. And who received the book? He gave the book to me. So me is the indirect object. 2. He gave me the book. Same situation. Action. Gave. What did he give? He gave the book. So book is the direct object. Who received the book? He gave the book to me, so me is the indirect object. 3. I'll bring you some medicine when I get home. The action is bring. What will I bring? I'll bring medicine. Medicine, therefore, the word medicine is the direct object. Who will I bring the medicine to? I will bring it to you, and so you is the indirect object. Sentence number 4. James told the news to everyone last night. Okay, the action is told. What did James tell? James told the news, so news is the direct object. Who did he tell the news to? He told it to everyone, and so everyone is the indirect object. 5th and last example. The bank lent the company £1 million. The action is lent. What did the bank lend? The bank lent pounds. So the word pounds is the direct object. Who did the bank lend the pounds to? So who received the direct object? The bank lent the pounds to the company. And therefore the word company is the indirect object. Okay, I have been talking about indirect objects for a while now, and you surely noticed that the sentences which I read used 2 different constructions. Some of the sentences used to, and some of them did not use to. Also, the order of the words was different in the 2 constructions. And these 2 points, this is where a lot of students feel a little bit uncertain. So let me help you out. Let's first closely analyze the 2 different constructions. In one construction, we put the direct object first, then to, which is actually usually pronounced something more like to, with the indirect object. So you have direct object, then to or to, with the indirect object after it. Direct object to indirect object. I'll give you 5 more examples with this construction. Just listen closely. I'll put a little pause afterwards so you can use the phonological loop in your mind, in your brain, to make the sentence repeat inside of your head. 1. The teacher read the story to the children. 2. The salesman showed the Ferrari to us. 3. Please send the money to them today. 4. The waiter served the dinner to us. 5th and last, Paula texted her address to me. Okay, I read those pretty slowly, and so let me now read them a little bit faster in a more natural way. It will help you to consolidate these sentences. So 1. The teacher read the story to the children. 2. The salesman showed the Ferrari to us. 3. Please send the money to them today. 4. The waiter served the dinner to us. 5th and last. Paula texted her address to me. All right, now let's take a look at the other construction, the construction which puts the indirect object first and then the direct object afterwards. We will use the same 5 examples as before, but reconstructed, and again with a pause after each one. 1. The teacher read the children the story. 2. The salesman showed us the Ferrari. 3. Please send them the money today. 4. The waiter served us dinner. 5th and last, Paula texted me her address. Okay, now I'll read them again a little bit faster, more natural. 1. The teacher read the children the story. 2. The salesman showed us the Ferrari. 3. Please send them the money today. 4. The waiter served us dinner. 5th and last, Paula texted me her address. So, do these 2 different constructions mean the same thing? Well, yes, they are absolutely identical in meaning. There is no difference in meaning between she texted her address to me and she texted me her address. There are some important differences, though. The first is that the construction without to is definitely the one that's more common in conversational English. I'll now give you 5 examples of this construction, 5 more examples using the most common verbs. 1. Randy told me the news. 2. Paula texted them her address. 3. He sent me an envelope full of money. 4. My parents gave me a bike for my birthday. 5th and last. Ray showed his friends the new remote control car. Okay, now let me give you some more example sentences using this construction. The verbs will still be very common verbs, but just a little less common than ones like give and tell. 16 examples to help you consolidate. 1. Tim teaches us English. 2. Throw me the apple, please. 3. The bank lends people money. 4. The waitress served us dinner. 5. Here, I'll hand you the hammer. 6. He offered me a ride to the airport. 7. She wrote him a letter every week. 8. Please pass me the salt and pepper. 9. She sang her baby a beautiful song. 10. They delivered us the pizza right away. 11. Emily's neighbor sold her the old truck. 12. The babysitter read the kids a nice story. 13. Our friends brought us souvenirs from Italy. 14. She's renting people her extra room on Airbnb. 15. When he died, my grandfather left me his old house. 16th and last. All the other kids in class were talking, so she shouted me the instructions. Okay, so far I've read over 20 sentences which use the construction without to. But you also absolutely can reconstruct those same 20 sentences with to, and there will be no change in meaning. You will just sound a bit more formal. I'll now read you 5 of those same sentences, but with to. I don't want to give you the whole list of 16. That's a little bit much. So here's just 5 of them to help your brain change gears, get into the new situation with to. 1. Tim teaches English to us. 3. She wrote a letter to him every week. 3. She sang a beautiful song to her baby. 4. Our friends brought souvenirs to us from Italy. 5th and last. When he died, my grandfather left his old house to me. Okay, so you just heard some examples of situations where you can use the construction with to, but there are 2 situations where you must use the to construction. The first situation happens when you have a direct object and an indirect one in a sentence with the following 5 verbs: describe, explain, recommend, return, and suggest. So if you've got any of those in a sentence, describe, explain, recommend, return, or suggest, you must use the construction with to. You cannot use the construction without to. Well, you can, but it just sounds bad. Okay, so 5 examples, one for each of these verbs. 1. Please describe the problem to me. 2. You'll need to explain everything to the police. 3. How did you find out about this cafe? It's really good, but somehow I've never heard of it. Oh, Lawrence recommended it to me. 4. The jeans I bought were too small, so I returned them to the store. 5th and last, I suggested my podcast to my students. The second situation where we need to use the construction with to happens when the indirect object in a sentence is not a person or a group of people or a company or whatever, but instead is a place. So, 3 examples. 1. She brought cookies to the party. 2. We mailed the documents to your office. 3rd and last, they delivered the pizza to the wrong address. Okay, that's just about everything for this week. But let me just repeat the basic ideas to you using 4 basic facts before we finish today. 1. You can use the construction without to with most verbs. 2. You can use the to construction with all verbs. It's never a mistake to use it with to. 3. You must use the to construction with the verbs describe, explain, recommend, return, and suggest. 4. You must use the to construction when the indirect object is a place instead of a person. Oh, there's also a 5th one, which is that the construction with to is a little bit less common and a little bit more formal, but not a lot. So actually, this is still not quite everything. There's still some details about direct and especially about indirect objects that are helpful to know, but I will talk about them, as I promised earlier, in a future episode. Thanks everybody for listening, and see you next Monday.